What's up, you beauties? Welcome to High and White Hockey YouTube channel, your go-to spot for all things Flyers. From breaking news to in-depth trade analysis, we've got you covered. Before we get going, make sure to help us on our quest to 1,000 subscribers by subscribing below. Make sure to smash that like button. Let's talk some hockey. So we got a big trade alert. The Calgary Flames and Philadelphia Flyers just both shook up their rosters with a pretty big deal, sending Andrei Kuzmenko and Jakob Pelletier to the Flyers in exchange for Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee, two sort of long-time, to this point, career Flyers. But what does this mean for both teams moving forward? Well, let's break it down real quick. So while fans were locked into game action last night, rumors were already swirling about potential moves. And when Andrei Kuzmenko was pulled from the lineup ahead of last night's game, and then Jakob Pelletier disappeared during the first period, it was clear something big was happening. Now, there was also speculation during the Flyers game, as Morgan Frost appeared to be picked from the Flyers lineup during the second period. I think Tortorella came out after the game and said Frost was feeling sick, under the weather. Who knows if that's BS or not? Both things could be true, that Frost was, in fact, being traded and was also feeling sick. But let's kind of break down what each team is getting in this trade. While, you know, it might not be the most exciting players in a deal, there are some parts to this. So Calgary sent Kuzmenko, Pelletier, and a 2025 second-round pick and a 2028 seventh-round pick to the Flyers in exchange for Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee. So let's kind of, I know Flyers fans already know these players, but just for any Calgary Flames fans watching, let's kind of get them up to speed on Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee. So what could Calgary be getting? Well, they could be getting a 25-year-old center who's been solid for the Flyers, registering 11 goals and 14 assists in 49 games this season. Morgan Frost does have playmaking ability and vision that could be what the Flames need down the middle. Now, obviously, that's kind of dressing him up nicely. You know, there's a lot of, in my opinion, negative that comes with the positives of Morgan Frost. And this is not me belittling Morgan Frost as a person at all. I assume all these people are good people unless I hear otherwise. I am only talking about the player, okay? So Joel Farabee, on the other hand, is a winger who brings up a bit of everything. He's got speed, he's got some scoring to his game, and he's got grit. While maybe not being able to showcase those skills as a Flyer, at least of late, he put up 8 goals and 11 assists in 50 games this year. And last season, he did hit a career high 50 points. I believe if you go back and look at what he's done this season in the last 20 or so games of last season, it's not very good. I want to say, I was talking to my buddy Colin Newby a week or so ago, and Farabee's got like 20 points in his last like 80-some games, something like that as a Flyer. So Flames general manager Craig Conroy wanted to compare Farabee to a younger Blake Coleman, a player who can chip in offensively while also playing a responsible two-way game, and that's fair to say, I think. So what does this mean for a team like Calgary? I think the move signals that the Flames are looking for long-term stability in their lineup while remaining competitive. Frost and Farabee are both in their mid-20s, meaning that they'll fit into the team's core without disrupting its timeline, and the Flames needed more depth down the middle. So they got it, at least for a season with Morgan Frost, or at least for the rest of the year with Frost, who is going to be an RFA after the year. Joel Farabee is signed for another 3 seasons at $5 million. So, you know, we'll talk about that in a second. You know, it's crazy to say, but Farabee was a cap dump at the end of the day. For the Flyers, adding Andrei Kuzmenko and Jakob Pelletier provides a little bit of flexibility. Kuzmenko's had a tough season so far this year, but he showed promise last year with the Flames and almost scored 40 goals during his first year in the NHL with 39 with Vancouver. Pelletier, just 23 years old, has the potential to develop into a solid NHL contributor. The trade gives Philadelphia some new pieces to work with as they continue to maybe shape their roster a bit. They've needed some left wingers, and Pelletier and Kuzmenko are both they both play on the left side. Pelletier, I think, hasn't really had the opportunity that maybe a young player is needed in Calgary. So who knows? Maybe he's a kind of a guy that needed a change of scenery as well. There are rumors out there as well for Kuzmenko that he might entice a former line mate from Vancouver to come over and kind of pick the Flyers. And obviously they have to trade for this player and Elias Pettersson, who we'll talk about, I'm sure, once we get to questions and comments. But also Kuzmenko, obviously Russian. Flyers have quite a few Russian players on the roster now, in Fedotov, Kolosov, and Zamula. Kuzmenko adds to that now so I guess help a player like Matvei Michkov acclimate to the NHL and the grind of a season. So who knows? And I also want to talk more about Kuzmenko later on, because there are some people that think that Kuzmenko could potentially help out this Flyers team. I don't see that at all. Maybe he pots a few goals here and there, but he's 28, going to be 29 years old. There are rumors in Calgary that he's going to head back to Russia after this season. I see more Kuzmenko as, $5 million comes off the books after this year. Helps maybe Michkov acclimate for the rest of the season, kind of, as a mentor type thing, a forward mentor. I don't know. But long term, I don't see Kuzmenko being here past this year. So overall, the trade has to be has the potential to be a win-win for both teams in different ways, which I would like to get to. Flames get 2 skilled forwards to strengthen their core, while the Flyers add assets that could help them retool and rebuild. So what do you guys think? Who do you think, Calgary or the Flyers, came out on top of this one? And honestly, I'm not so much consumed or really even care who got the better deal of this, because right now, on paper, Calgary, I think, got the better deal. In Frost and Farabee, I think those two players have the potential to go to a different destination and maybe, be able to play a game that more fits their skills than they were playing here. I guess if I'm looking on the bright side for those guys, that could happen theoretically, but we'll see. So let's get to some of your guys' questions and comments. Looks like we got a lot of them here. I appreciate you guys. So we got Ty. Have a feeling this trade leads to something hopefully bigger, maybe the unknown Elias Pettersson. Yeah, so let's kind of talk this right out of the gate here. So I think it was Elliot Friedman that was on 32 Thoughts and mentioned that the Flyers, something like the Flyers wanted to get Kuzmenko here for a reason that we don't know yet. And I would have a hard time thinking that they got Kuzmenko to waive his no trade clause to mentor Michkov. Maybe it's to say, hey, we're really trying to get your buddy here, Elias Pettersson. And now Kuzmenko is in his ear, calling his buddy up. Hey, why don't you come here? Let's see what we can do. Maybe you can help revive my career and I could stay in the NHL another couple seasons. So we'll see with that. But look, if you're looking for dots to connect, I think there are now dots to connect with the Flyers and Pettersson. Not sure if that's going to happen or not. But the Flyers are making moves. They're clearing cap at the very least. Keith the Bethel. We traded a number 14 and a number 27 for a number 26 in a second rounder. I'm not in love with it. And if you're taking the trade just at face value, sure. But I think there are other implications to this trade maybe down the road. James Bond Flyer says money dump. Yep. Flyers purgatory. National League trade is universally loved for Calgary. Yeah, and right now, if you're looking to improve your roster right now, the Calgary Flames got roster players, proven roster players. Whether they're good or not is up for debate, but they're good middle six depth guys. And I'm not sure what they're going to be in Calgary. I know what they were here, and it wasn't going to be, top six guys, unfortunately. James Bond Flyer says the second round pick was the key, and the Flyers now have 4 second-round picks coming up in this summer's NHL draft to go along with 3 first-round picks. So we can speculate on what you guys want them to do with that. But yeah, they have 7 picks in the first 2 rounds. And I've seen this. So Flyers Purgatory mentions the guys we got were both waiver candidates all year for Flames, according to their podcasts. Yeah. And that's fine. So I think what we have to remember is guys like Frost and Farabee weren't garnering a lot of interest around the league. Like none. Like this was the best that the Flyers could do. And they had to package both to get what they got. 2, waiver candidate players and a 2nd-round pick for Frost and Farabee, right? And there were some accounts out there that were going, Frost by himself as an RFA is worth a 2nd-round pick. It's not true. Earlier in the year, you heard guys say that Frost had essentially no trade value and that the Flyers were looking to move him, but they weren't going to give him away. You don't think that if a team was offering up a 2nd-round pick, the Flyers would have said, yes, we'll do that in a heartbeat? It wasn't happening. In my opinion, as a player, Farabee is more valuable than Frost, but Farabee's contract makes him less valuable because he's not. If you were going to trade Farabee, it would have needed to be over the offseason if you wanted to get true value for him. He took a nosedive at the end of last year and didn't really improve at all this year. If you've listened to our podcast episodes, which you can find once a week here on the channel, over the summer we talked about Farabee and how he just was not it. At least I thought that Farabee wasn't going to be around much longer. And if I was going to trade one guy on the team, it would have been Joel Farabee, just because of the way how his season ended, the stuff I was hearing that behind. How can I say? I guess in media circles and little rumor mills, is Farabee wasn't exactly happy with the coach here, and that's putting it nicely. So was I surprised when I heard Farabee was moved? No. Was I surprised when I heard Frost was being moved? No. I think they were 2 guys that needed a change of scenery. Shadow chimes in. Frost wasn't going to get you much, and Garner hasn't lit, and Joel hasn't lit the world on fire. Why do people act like we traded all-stars? I don't know. I'm not sure. So from a fan perspective, I kind of lost that I don't want to say point of view, but I think I don't know if it's because the team has been so mediocre, or if I've just gotten older, but I don't have favorite players anymore. So I sometimes forget that maybe the younger crowd kind of thing still has favorite players, and they get attached to guys in ways that I don't really get attached anymore, because it is a business, and at the end of the day, we really are just rooting for the crest on the front of the jersey. Like, you want all these guys to have nice careers and good lives, but at the end of the day, these guys are making millions of dollars. Sure, they got traded to Calgary, but they're going to be happy wherever they are. I'm rooting for the crest on the front. And sure, I want these guys to be happy, healthy, have great careers, but I'm not going to lose sleep over Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost. Mr. Bones chimes in. Frost wasn't going to get re-signed, but it is just a sad day for Flyers fans. I guess if you're a fan of Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee, then I can understand that. Another good comment from Mr. Bone 99. I thought we wanted to get bigger as a team and not smaller. That's a good comment. Like, let's assume that Kuzmenko is not going to be here after this season. Jakob Pelletier is listed at 5'9", and usually when they usually bump their height up an inch or two if they're on the shorter end. Crimson Cade chimes in. Had to be done. Now we know they are dedicated to a real rebuild. Cap space will be cleared this summer if they choose not to re-sign Kuzmenko. I'm not bummed. Never expected them to get much. It's the unfortunate truth. But yes, anyone who doubted that it was a rebuild, I think now can admit that it is a rebuild. You just didn't see these trades all happen boom, boom, boom in one offseason. I thought it was fair to see, can Frost excel under John Tortorella? Can he figure it out? Will he still make these stupid backhanded turnovers for no reason like he did last night? And can Farabee continue to have success? And he just proved that he could not. It was not going to happen here. Flyers Purgatory, James. Frost and Farabee were loved in the locker room. I understand, for sure. There are a lot of players all around the league in every locker room that are loved in locker rooms, and they get traded. This is what happens. So I get that. And I understand the disappointment and the sadness or whatever people are going through. I understand it all. I was a fan like that one day too. Remember the Mike Richards and Jeff Carter trades? I was bummed, Yeah. So I get it. I just don't have those same feelings today, especially not for players like Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost. And that's just how I feel. And I hope that people can respect that. Flyers Purgatory. I'm not sure I've seen you in here as often, but hopefully you join the show more in the future. Good comments. Vancouver has to keep Quinn Hughes happy, and picks don't do that. I don't think they're going to be trading picks to Vancouver. I think we could see a deal with players, picks, and prospects. Great comments, guys. I really appreciate everyone hanging out in the chat today. So yeah, that's the deal. I'm going to wrap this one up. If you guys, let me know what you think in the comments below on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, please head over to YouTube and give us a subscription. We're looking for 1K subscribers. Last I checked, I think we were at 775. We're rising quickly. And so I just want to say thank you to that. Thank you to everyone who hung out in the chat today. We got one more comment here from Not a Botter or whatever. Flyers got hosed, and on paper, yeah, sure, it certainly looks like that, but opens up some flexibility for not just the rest of this year, this summer. I think this summer and next have the potential to be pretty big summers for the Flyers. We still have the trade deadline coming up. What's going to happen there? I know that the Flyers are kind of shop. Look, they said they're not shopping Risto, but the reality is there are teams like the Dallas Stars who now need a top pair, top four defenseman. And the Flyers, look, they're showcasing Ristolainen, playing him on top pairs, putting him out there on the power play one, quarterbacking it even. He's more activated in the offensive zone. You can't convince me otherwise. They're not showcasing a guy like Risto. So once again, let me know what you guys thought about the episode in the comments. If you want to debate if the Flyers won or lost the trade, the Flames won or lost the trade, go ahead. But I'm more curious to see what you guys think is going to happen in the future, and we'll talk about it on our show next week with Jack. So once again, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you guys never miss an update on all things Flyers. Thank you for watching. Remember to keep it high, keep it wide, and I'll see you next time on HW Hockey. Bye-bye.